Hey, I'm Brian Van, Sportbike and today we're going to install the Techspec Lock Universal Tank Grip Kit on Max Van's Yamaha R3 race bike. The Lock is a universal tank grip kit that Techspec developed and released on the market. I believe it was last year. It's available in two different materials. This is the X line we're showing you here. It's a little bit softer than the snakeskin we're used to seeing from them. The pattern looks very similar, but the feel of the product is different. A little softer, and it is quite grippy, but just in a different way. The Lock is meant to be used on really any bike. It is a universal fit kit. So what you want to do before you install it, before you even prep the tank, is you want to identify the most advantageous place to put the kit. And please understand that trimming may be possible. The R3 has a tank that's a little to the small side. How this kit would be installed normally would be basically like this. Okay, so it's going to be in multiple pieces. And clearly you can see that's going to wrap around to the front of the tank well beyond the usable areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mock this up and then trim before I do the installation. And we'll go ahead and cover that as well. Okay, surface preparation. That is really going to be the key here. If you want this stuff to work well, you want it to stick to the tank, you have to prep the surface correctly first. The kit comes with a very nice set of instructions. I, of course, like every other dude in the world, I already threw that stuff in the garbage can, but I did take a glance at them beforehand. I would encourage you to read those thoroughly before you throw yours out. But I'll give you the cliff notes right now. Surface prep. There are options they list. They list the possibility of using Windex. We tried to use that, but you know what? The sprayer on this thing's no fucking good, so you can't use that. Contact cleaner, which is what I'm going to use, or even a rubbing alcohol. It's very important you degrease the surface. You get any silicones, waxes, any of that stuff off of there, so this is going to adhere. Also, surface temp. You want this tank, they say a minimum of 80 degrees. We're inside right now. It's in the 70s here today. It's a little warmer in the building. We're super close, so I'm going to leave it. If you're well under that, get a hair dryer, maybe a heat gun on a low setting, and just warm the tank. You want the surface not necessarily overheated, but you want to get it to that 80 degrees. Additionally, before you go out and ride the bike, let it sit for 12 hours. The product needs to have an opportunity to cure, so it's going to stick to the tank. When we come back, I'm going to have the surface all prepped up and ready to begin installing this universal lock kit. We're going to begin with the center section and build from there. Start by removing that center insert. We will not be using that. From here, we're going to mock this up. I had Max sit on the bike already to get a good idea of where his legs are going to be, to make sure that I'm putting this in a spot where it's going to be effective for him. Once you've identified where you want it to put on, you know, it might not be a bad idea to get like a reference mark. So I see a spot here right now where if I just put a little mark in this with a Sharpie that I can see. In the R3, they make it easy here because you have these lines where the three pieces for the tank actually come together. You know what, so I'm just going to put two dots right there. It's going to help me line that up. Now we're going to remove the backing. In stages. You don't want to just tear the entire backing off and then throw it on there and hope you get good placement right out of the gate. Kind of roll it over. That's not contacting the tank right now. So it's going to give me the opportunity to really kind of line this up. Roll it over and work that section down. Want to make sure you're putting pressure her nice and even, and then we'll begin to roll this back. Still just in stages. Just going to keep working it. And we'll do that until we've made it all the way across. I've installed multiple kits on various bikes over the years, and the snakeskin is what I've used each time. This would be my first experience with this new X line. I gotta tell you, it's a little easier to install on the bike. It feels like it's more flexible, which is good. Now, before I go any further, let me go ahead and I'm gonna continue just working this on here. Especially the edges. You wanna make sure all the edges are really down. This is something that I'm going to do multiple times just to make sure that we have good contact between the adhesive backing and the tank. Okay, the R3, like we said earlier, you know, it has just a small tank, and I mean, man, I just don't, that is just way excessive having that over there. And I actually started mocking this up. And I drew a couple lines there. I was thinking about cutting it in an angular shape. And then what I landed on is I want to preserve the overall shape of it and end it basically right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this lined up like so. I've got a pair of scissors that I'm going to cut this with. And then I'm going to cut that same shape into the side panel here once I've got it lined up. So once you have it in a position where you're like, all right, I dig that. And understand, on most bikes, you're probably not going to have to do this. You know, it's just this tank is just really, really small. So kind of locate that. And what I'm looking for here is just simply the end of that. So I just made 2 marks with a Sharpie. And then I'm going to use the other kit to find those marks that I made. Okay, you're probably not going to be able to see these on camera because I can barely see these. But what I've done now is I have the other side on the backing, and I'm looking where those marks are, and I'm going to use this as a template to trace the area that I need to remove. So once I've got it in the right spot, I'm going to go ahead and use a Sharpie right here on the backing. Like so. And then we'll grab the scissors and give this a trim. You know, it's been a long time since I was in kindergarten or first grade. My scissor skills could be a little rusty, so let's not be too judgmental here. Probably should get my daughter Sophia to cut this out. This material cuts relatively easily. I'm not sure if the snakeskin would cut as easy or not. The X-line, this cuts pretty easy. Hopefully I get a good result here on take 1. Doesn't look too bad from that side. Minus the fact I need to cut more. I like what I see so far, so we need to come back just a little bit further. So I'm going to label that my test cut. Okay. come back here. I'm just going to mark it right in the center this time. And we'll do that again. You know, end of the day, it kind of gave me a little feel for how this is going to go, so I'm all right with the fact I got to hit it again. And we'll repeat the same process. You know, this is part of this motorcycle hobby, especially when you're building a race bike. You know, a lot of the things that we do, they're not just right out of the box and bolt on. You know, there oftentimes a little bit of creativity is involved. And this is a pretty good example of just that. This is also, you know, by nature a universal kit. The direct fit kits from Techspec they offer for almost every common sport bike out there, they literally are designed and pre-cut right in the shape of the tank for the bike. You know, but this lock kit, this is race bike stuff, and you could use it for a street bike too, but this is universal and it's listed as universal. Okay. Look even better this time. I'm going to end it right, literally right down there. So now what I want to do, I want to go to the other side because I dig what I'm looking at here. And I want to see if I flip this, what's it going to look like over here? You can see this one's going to need to be just a tiniest bit shorter. Kayla's probably like, dude, are you really? And I'm like, yes, really. So as you can see here, I mean, this is, you know, take your time. There's no reason to be in a rush. If you want to get a good finished result, these kits aren't cheap for sure. You know that if you purchased it already. I like the length of this one. I want the other side to be just a little bit shorter. Okay, mocking it up. I like what I got going on over here, but for the other side, I know that I want it to be a little bit shorter. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to use this piece and I'm going to just scoot it off the edge just a little bit. And then I will trace it and cut it. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely ready to graduate from kindergarten with those scissor skills, 100% ready. This is gold star worthy trimming. Okay, so I'm going to peel back just a little bit of the backing. I want to start obviously over here at the back and then work that angle. I want to make sure that it's terminated right there at the bottom of the tank. Got a reasonable fit there. Caleb's like, dude, it's just scissors. I'm like, no, this is motorcycle artwork. Same deal I did on the other part there. I'm gonna take my time, kind of work slowly, and you want to really focus on those valleys or edges to make sure that you got it in there really good. If I didn't have the stand, you know, the table here to work on, I'd have it on the ground and then use like a little stool or something so you're kind of eye level with it. That definitely is helpful. Okay, same thing we did there. I'm going to just continue to work that down. And we come back, we'll do the other side. All right, here we go, other side. Same situation. I want to try and find that edge down there. I'm going to finish, work off the angle here. Rotate. I've only pulled off just a small portion of the backing. Get that started. push it into position. Feel free to leave in the comments if you're impressed with my scissor dexterity. You know, Caleb, he doesn't think it's a big deal. I disagree. I think that being proficient with a pair of scissors is a very important life skill. If it wasn't, they surely wouldn't be focusing on that shit in kindergarten. I mean, let's face it, you learn the majority of the stuff you need to be successful in life in kindergarten and first grade. Just working piece by piece. That valley up there, you really want to make sure you get that in there real nice. If you push down here on the flats first and then you try to drag it into that valley when it's already stuck to the tank, it's just not gonna play nice. Okay, work that down. All right, and then just constant pressure. I'll be back here in a minute to finish this video up and enjoy my Techspec precision installation here. Here we have a nice tight close-up. Caleb is admiring my professional Techspec lock kit trim job. You gotta admit, that is pretty good. He's also informed me that the curriculum has changed in kindergarten since I was there. You know, I'm about 45 years removed from kindergarten, but I think this is a fantastic example of how effective that curriculum was, because I've retained those scissor skills. And notice I have all my fingers still, all of my fingers. This is a good example, right, of a universal fit part that you can get a great result from, just like the pictures on the Techspec website, when the tank is a different shape. The R3 tank, this is a lightweight bike, it's just a lot smaller. The picture they have, the stock photos, you know, you see the whole kit on there, and that's a really easy install. It's just about finding out exactly where you want to place it, optimal placement for you and your riding style, and then preparation, installation. But with this R3, that was not the case due to the size of the tank. I kind of like what I did. It turned out good, and I did bring Max over here too to have him sit on the motorcycle before I put the kit on, because I wanted to try and make sure that I was really going to put it in the sweet spot for him where it would be most effective. And I think I've done a good job with that. I wanted to kind of keep him a little bit of a smooth spot here right at the back portion of the tank, so as he's transitioning, it's not grabbing quite as much, right? And then he's able to focus out here on this area here. And then of course, you know, when you're really up on it in the braking zone, you're gonna catch some here and on the outside. And excited to get to the racetrack this weekend and give it a shot and see what the kid thinks about it. Remember, don't ride for 12 hours. With any Techspec kit you install, you want to make sure that the tank too, it's not going to be in 30-degree temperatures. You warm the tank to 80 degrees and let it set for 30. Make sure you've got room temperature. It gives it the opportunity to cure, and you've taken the time to prep it so the stuff doesn't blow right off the side of your tank. It's good stuff. I've used it for years. I'm Brian Van, SportbikeTrackGear.com. Scissor expert.